Ox and before him Valdez complaining about teams not using well. I feel like finally we're starting to see what this pick is capable of in not just the, you know, like he clears waves, but particularly in the proactive macro sense. The amount of gold it allows you to secure early on makes it even harder, even not regarding like how well Peanut and Zeka played, right?
Yeah.
To actually build a generous gold lead in the early to mid game. So Ziggs to me needs to be prioritized one way or another if you are to do well in these playoffs.
Well, Azir, Nasus, and Lilia, they were the bans for Humble Life Esports in game number 1. That is likely to change as they do have to ban away the Rumble this time. Zyra going to be taken away as the 3rd ban. Really interesting. I think angling towards a Vi first pick here for Owner perhaps. Because otherwise I can imagine that will just come in as Lilia still going to be taken away here. And so the Nasus still up. Could theoretically be picked. See what the Garens are going to look like, as there is the Vi first pick that we were talking about. No surprise there. And where do Humble Life Esports go with it this time as Ziggs is up, guys?
Yeah.
Just a word of warning.
I do think that the Ziggs is a little bit more reliant on a good comp, but you still pick it, don't get me wrong. But specifically denying Vi Ziggs, I think, is a really good call, because Vi Ziggs, as we saw, like, as Ox was saying, like, Guma couldn't do anything in that game. Like, he couldn't have done anything better because there is no counterplay to someone ulting you, and then the combo that followed, you know, instead going to go towards the Sejuani, which is a great pick for him individually, but we have actually seen struggle. This is something we saw Aining pull out as well, which is the Seraphine, which I personally wouldn't dislike. It'd be very funny to me if we're just ending up with straight up, oh, there it is, yeah, mage matchups towards the bot side of the map. But I gotta say, you need a consistent source of AD damage from somewhere. Like, you can't just have Seraphine and then Vi Nasus. We saw DK try this and it just didn't work, right? So either we flex the Nasus towards top, or we need to find ourselves an AD carry mid, where I don't think Faker has looked great on them. So we'll see what T1 their solution to this problem is. It could, of course, also still be Seraphine as a support, but I don't think that that's very likely.
Yep, and we can also see whether Humble Life Esports do want to give counterpick over to Doran as well. I think that that can be very valuable for this team on the red side. And so expect to see a support locked in for Delight. I'm surprised that we haven't seen the priority on Senna be a little bit higher here. As we see the Seraphine locked in, Senna is going to be banned away here by Delight in the next round. And his Rel also going to hit the deck. But there are plenty of engaged supports if that's where they want to go. His Alistair, his Rakan. We saw Rakan in the last game. He was fine. And so I don't think Delight is really sweating for who to play in this one. Just trying to work out who to ban.
I'm wondering if you're ever going to go for a double Enchanter bot lane just because you're playing into Ziggs and Smolder. I think both those picks do rely, Ziggs less so, but Smolder in particular, upon being able to poke and then slowly chip down the health of their opponents. I do think the Senna ban, even though I don't like Senna into Ziggs because Senna doesn't really have the health to deal with a late game Ziggs. Her healing power on this patch is obviously completely insane. I do think that's one of the things that you can struggle with when it comes to the Smolder. But the funny part to me is that, like, Ziggs could still, we don't think it's gonna be, but Ziggs could still be mid. Smolder can be flexed into multiple positions. Humble Life haven't really given too much away, and it does look like they are gonna most likely leave counterpick to Doran after we've seen where T1 puts their Nasus and where everything on T1 is going. But it could be Smolder top, it could be Smolder mid, which I think is most likely. But
yeah, there's flexes everywhere.
It's hard to read drafts on red side. And I think that is something that Desk highlighted did. Humble Life is doing here what T1 didn't. T1 actually showcased their draft as...
Whoa, that's Olaf Shen!
Okay, well, now I still don't know what's... Is it Shen support into the Leona?
I think it kind of has to be.
It has to be, right? Well, I mean, it could be Nessa support with W Max.
T1 have picked a lot of melee champions and Seraphine.
Yeah, I don't think that really works into the Ziggs. Is it okay? So most likely,
do we just play Vladimir again? Well, Renekton is just going to be locked in.
R5 Renekton,
the good old R5 Renekton. We've gone back to the KT strats. So Sejuani Renekton, baby.
Okay, but that is itself counter pick.
Yeah, it's not great.
It makes Peanut's life better. That's the main thing. It does not make Doran's life great. I'm not too sure about that one.
Do you know what they've done? They've they've nailed a target onto Doran and said, you can have him. Just let us stack up our Smolder and take turrets on Ziggs. Like Doran is actually just going to be a handbag walking around asking to be stolen.
League is rapidly regressing, okay? Because it's deteriorating. Because what this is basically the same draft that Hanwha had, where it's like Vi goes in, and then Seraphine ults on top of that, and then Shen ults on top of Vi, and then we taunt them, and then they're all dead.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
And then you hope that we get a Captain Barry so that, you know, the Mega Inferno Bomb doesn't kill everyone. Because
Seraphine, that should make a big difference.
That's true, actually.
Theoretically.
We'll just have to find out, because there's also the Smolder problem.
Why are all these Season 2 champions in my game, Atlas?
Yeah, Seraphine's like, what? Why? I'm just hanging out with all the old people. That's what she's doing this game. It's very funny. A few more newer ones on the side of HLE Esports, but definitely some blasts from the past as well. Zeka on the Smolder is going to be bringing that new flavor. See how it goes here as the first red side draft for HLE Esports looks kind of okay, but T1, they're cooking. So jump onto the rift. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the rift for the second game of this series. HLE Esports finally on the red side, and T1 able to flex their blue side chops. Carrier, you can trust him. He's a doctor. And let's see whether he's going to be able to take down Peanut here, as Owner is going to be spotted there on the vision. You can see Carrier just moving on in, see whether he can get some vision down himself.
Shen is kind of a dream champion into many of the things on Hanwha Life, because obviously into Leona it makes sense, right? Leona isn't able to get her Q off because it relies on her getting an auto. Ziggs, even though his damage isn't relying on it, still has some pretty chunky autos. But particularly when you get Carrier to the top half of the map, where there's a Sejuani and a Renekton who just don't really do a whole lot. If they can auto attack, gonna get a ton of value there. Faker actually not going for the area, which has been most popular, but going for Phase Rush instead.
Yeah, that's interesting. Still going to be doing the same thing here, has already taken the E first.
Yeah, of course. It's still going to be 3-point E. Has Scorch as well. Mana Flow, nothing too crazy there.
Yep, it's still sorcery, so we're still counting it. But I think this is just going to be a stack off in the mid lane, and I believe the newer champion has higher value on stacks. Is that how that one works? Zeka able to build up a lot of them into a melee champion at the same time. Of course, Faker's not going to be too worried about it. Siphoning Strike's going to have a lot of healing and things like that, but you're not going to deny a lot of stacking. And so Zeka could get to that 225 very early on.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to pressure him. I do think once you get some points in E, you're going to have Prio, and we're going to have to see how T1 is actually going to be able to use it. We saw T1 use an Olaf composition before. And this really is, again, it's just an Olaf composition with extra steps where you use the Vi as an initiation tool. Vi won't get blown up immediately because you have a lot of backup. And that is, yeah, we're getting close to 80. And with how the meta is devolving, I'm telling you, it's going to be like Ilaoi or Warwick
Faker's Garen. Faker's Garen's coming in, man. We're going to see it. Game 3. Oh, I'm so ready. Because that's going to be where Zeka's like, well, I'll just have to Nasus because it's so powerful. And then Faker's going to say, well, it is time for me to hide on bush. This is what my name was built for. As, all right, beat drop, sorry. Turns into a bit of a beat down there as Delight takes a fair bit of damage. And Doran is going to be able to get the cannon. Big value.
Again, one of the big things for the Seraphine is that her wave clear is insane as well. I don't think it's as good as the Ziggs, but it is very, very dependable. But it also allows you to match TPs. And one of the things that we have talked about a little bit, but maybe not as much, is that not only is Ziggs one of the best turret-taking champions in the game, but the teleport also allows you to do it because you're generally playing into enemies that go barrier, because otherwise they get one-tapped by your ultimate.
Yep.
To do it with so much less room to punish, because you can just back, rotate to top, get a turret and TP back towards bot lane to catch the wave. As we do have a little bit of a fight here.
Yeah, Delight is already in position. That's going to mean that Owner has to flash to get himself out of the way. That is actually huge. Delight just existing gets a flash. Pretty well played there, and still looking for a little bit more value.
Reinforcements are on the way. I'm not too sure about this one, but it looks like
Okay, Carrier just going in, can mitigate a lot of this, but Faker's going to move over. That is so much Spirit Fire value. The flash out from Peanut, and Delight is going down low. Doran now trying to tank things up as Carrier might be taken down, but he gets the shield as he pulls back the Scalpel, and there it is, the Spirit Fire. Last hit for first blood for Faker.
Okay, so I need a...
That was weird.
That was silly, Atlas. I don't know... Okay, I need to see a replay, but I'm not sure why Hanwha Life felt so confident, because they knew that Carrier was there. And I don't think, even if you do chunk owner a little bit, you want to take an aggressive early game 3v3 when again, you're playing into Shen Olaf. Like that's a very scary set of champions. And I think that they got away pretty luckily, honestly. So Carrier goes in, obviously can take a lot of the damage because of his W. Then a great Q from owner, and then it's actually really funny the fact that Peanut doesn't die immediately here, because if the rest of the team can back up Zeus, like he can just keep running and murder them. I know he doesn't have his ultimate yet, but it wouldn't have really been too much of a detriment. What's big here as well is that Faker gets this kill while he still has TP. So he's able to get the kill with the Spirit Fire, then TP immediately back to lane. I think Zeka got out of it was a little bit of extra CS. His Guma is low, but he has a TP advantage, so he's not going to be too bothered by that.
Yep, losing the water fight there a little bit because a lot of those balloons were popped by the Seraphine. Nice little satchel for Viper. Did have the backup of his Leona, so could use that relatively offensively. Zeka's just flapping around. Does have a few stacks built up already, so looking kind of all right, but it looks like T1, they have their eyes set on this Infernal Drake. Should be able to take that one down as Delight is in the area, but Peanut is not, so they're not going to be able to stop this. Peanut is just going to have to trade it for some grubs that are going to be coming up now.
Yeah, also don't have bot lane prio. Viper did have to back. Guma TP back, so he will be able to shoot that wave as
that Shadow Dash was that was a gimme. That was wasn't very fair. Looked like it hit him.
That does some. I feel like his Shen's dash always feels like it goes a little bit further.
Yeah.
Than it actually does, as we do see 2 grubs being taken here by Hanwha Life. So still not a bad trade. Owner will be able to pick one up, but he is substantially behind in CS, not so much in experience, especially if he does end up getting the camp. Obviously has been pretty proactive on the map. And
Carrier.
Never mind.
River Shen.
I guess he's
doing work.
He's not getting the experience. As we are lane swapping,
wait, away from a Ziggs.
Yeah, away from the Ziggs, and also with the grubs already being down. So Doran's life is about to get even less fun, but I don't know if it's that much better for Zeus, and this is a lot of plays that are going to go down. We'll see when Doran has the read, because as of right now, he doesn't.
Well, he is going to get taunted. Speed drop does come through. There's the Encore, and Doran is just dead. Didn't have a chance to do anything at all.
He did not get the message, in fact, and he found out too late, unfortunately for him. Ends up going down, and now the swap's worth it.
Yeah.
So, easy.
Sometimes you make the weird play so that your opponent doesn't expect that that play was made, and then you can capitalize. And that's precisely what T1 just did. And now they're going to be able to grab some plates here as well. No teleports at all on Hanwha Life Esports, so getting back to this top lane is going to be a rough one.
Oh, that's a 4-man dive.
Yep, looking for an opportunity. Ragnarok is up and available as he has thrown it down. Mega Inferno Bomb, pretty difficult to outplay that one, and it's Mom that's able to lock down the kill. Still, Zeus gets one back as Peanut couldn't tank the turret forever. Hanwha still with some extra time here with the turret, and that is certainly good, but not as clean as what we saw from T1 top.
That's already a pretty big Q, and he doesn't have Triforce yet. Zeka still has a Summoners, of course, and Flap is very good into melee tops, but, or I guess mids, it's Nessus. I don't know, Atlas. As here, very key for Carrier to actually get that clip, because otherwise you can't set up the CC chain. Nicely done. And here, big win for Zeus. Actually gets enough damage down, stays alive for just enough time with his ultimate and his shield. Lifesteal able to get him through. Yep. Even with the ult being invested by Zeka, it's going to be a kill onto Peanut, which also allowed Owner to then kind of catch up in the farm department where he was falling behind.
Yeah, you've now got some Swifty boots picked up, or as I like to say, the anti-wither boots. Yep. For Zeka. Certainly going to be very, very valuable. And he is stacking, stacking, stacking. 80 already here at 9 minutes. Isn't too bad. And these sneezes are starting to hurt. As Delight's moving in, there's the flash. Zenith Blade gets the flash out from Faker. And Delight just taking some summoner spells. Well played, Peanut. Looking for his go here. Level 7. There's the flash. Arctic Assault. And the Permafrost comes down. Peanut once again tanking the turret. And that is going to be Zeka getting a stack and a kill at the same time.
Even with the Shen ult being invested, it's not quite enough to keep Faker alive. And I'm pretty sure Peanut didn't show. So that was actually really well done there. Like, if he doesn't show, Faker just sees the light mid, you know, thinks that the gank is done. And then that's the end of it. Not knowing that there is a man still waiting for him to step up. And Nessa's, again, season 1, season 2 champion, does not have dashes, so just dies.
Season 1, yeah.
Ends up being in a rough situation as we take another look at this. And no, okay, no, okay, never mind. I take it back. Yeah, no, yeah, big mistake. I thought Peanut didn't show, because otherwise you can't walk up to... You have Spirit Fire as well. That's just getting greedy for stacks. Good punish by Humble Life, but big mistake there, especially just after the flash is blown.
Very nicely, opportunistically taken by Humble Life Esports, you could say. Doran just trying to soak as many waves as he possibly can. Isn't necessarily full handbag. You can see only down about 500 gold. The lead for the Smolder. Part of the problem here. As you can see, he also has been building a whole bunch of stacks. Yeah, Flap and Swifties. Pretty good at avoiding getting queued. Viper is going to take this turret. Goodbye, turret. It has been nice knowing you. And 10 minutes. There is still 3 minutes left for him to take more of these structures off the map. As Doran is going to spot Zeus here. Peanut moving up as well. There's the ghost popped. Didn't actually want to press his ultimate button to avoid getting stunned. Knew that he was far enough away. And more flashes being gleaned here by the Hex Flash of Delight. Here on this bottom side. 5 plates for a Ziggs team? Golly gee. I'm a little bit frightened about what that means.
They still have a bunch of time, so they can just rotate him to mid, rotate him to top.
Yeah.
Looks like T1 will be able to get to, Humble Life able to get to free grubs here. They do push Peanut off. They do have to give him a dragon, but Dragon in himself, not the end of the world. Oh,
X-Tech going to come through. Yeah, Guma is in a whole host of trouble. That's too many circles, and Viper is able to lock down the kill before the Smolder comes in and steals it away. Might actually be a negative, just for getting as much value as possible, but I think he deserved that one. And Humble Life Esports is also able to defend their outer turret in the mid lane. Owner comes on over. They will be able to even out the grubs most likely, as Doran is going to at least just chaperone Zeus as he heads back home. Zeka in the mid lane, going to force a teleport out from Gumayushi.
Gang, we cannot give Viper a free inner. That is not a thing we can do.
Well, Faker is going to get hit by a bouncing bomb that does do a fair bit of damage here, as we can see. Viper starting to get to work with that Luden's already built up. And everyone is going to turn up. That is, Anasa's turned into a ragdoll and thrown about the place. And you can see Faker there in the player cam, not happy about how that one went, as it is brother versus brother. Never mind, as Zeus is, of course, an Olaf, and he is just going to be able to take down the Renekton. No worries there at all. Delight now underneath this turret, not exactly where he wants to be, because Owner is turning up as well. T1 kind of taking matters into their own hands as they look to get rid of Delight, who is able to taxi his way out. Carrier is going to trade 1-for-1. That was gorgeous from the Leona player, but they're still going to lose an outer turret in the top lane.
It's very telling that despite all that, Humble Life are still sitting on a gold lead. And it's because they got the inner.
Do you think he's going to stop some backs as well?
When are we just be one Ziggs. Until we have found an actual answer, which right now it doesn't seem like we have. It's too much.
We need a dose of BZP. Just ban Ziggs, please. That is what you need.
Well, I'm also down for some tech. You know, I'm sure there's ways that you can punish the Ziggs.
Oh, okay. So he was just trying to see whether Zeus was backing, and he found out that yes, indeed, he was backing, and then had to flash.
It's not often that we see this level of value from a counter pick on top lane, Atlas.
Yeah,
which is negative. It's negative value.
Yeah, it was not great. It is brother versus brother, by the way. I was trying to talk about that before, but it's Faker versus Doran and not Zeus versus Doran.
I love that you want to talk about lore.
I do. Well,
that's great.
It's one of my favorites is the Renekton Nasus. You know, when Renekton was released, I'm like, oh, that's his bro. That's so cool.
Have they even interacted yet on the map?
No, not really. Not even at all.
Well, we're going to be keeping an eye out for that. That's going to be a big moment.
T1 have also taken more play call, which is kind of nutty. As Peanut's going to turn up. That is Ragnarok popped here from Zeus, but it's going to run out very quickly. And Delight is, of course, exactly where he needs to be. The Shield of Daybreak comes down, and there is the Mega Inferno Bomb. It's Eclipse that manages to pop and take the kill, as Zeka is now flapping over a wall, and Faker's like, I wanted to flash, but I can't flash. He couldn't justify it in that moment, but you could feel that that's what he wanted to do.
It's when the lead Q hits and you see the moment of deliberation, and it's like, no, I can't do it. This game is messy, Atlas, but looking at the trades, they are mostly favorable. The one thing that T1 did get this time around is that they got the Herald, so they should be able to get mid lane turret finally, even though they're still playing into Ziggs, who again makes it really hard to take that. That's going to be something, and for me, T1 has like 15 extra minutes where the Olaf is actually going to be a threat. Because eventually we're going to reach a point where Zeka like sneezes on him and Viper throws a Q and he just dies.
Yeah.
So they need to use that spike. And if they get the upcoming dragon, then that alone could be enough. Because Hextech Soul does kind of...
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, right? We know, and it allows you to set up plays around the Baron as well. This is very straightforward. Zeus, he feels safe because he has a lot of members on the top half of the map. But they're at the Herald, they're not with you. So being up that deep into a side lane, not great. Ends up being a very, very big kill going over the Humble Life, which means I don't think they feel too bad now. T1 can use the Herald in mid as a way to divert attention, but they need this Hextech Drake. Atlas, it's the same as in last game. I don't think it's quite as rough, because I do think they have a bit more longevity with this composition.
They also have the first 2 dragons, which is going to be very, very valuable. It's going to take a while for Humble Life Esports to stack them all up. Yeah,
only 170 stacks for Zeka. Thank you for highlighting that. So, but they need to get this. They need to get to the point where Soul is on the table for them at any point going forward in the game.
Yep. And now the Rift Herald is going to go down from Ona. That's going to buy them some space, looking for this Soul point. Viper should be able to at least eliminate the minion wave. This will get a charge, as we can see. He's going to have to spend some time poking HLE in the eye, and that is going to allow T1 to start this one up. Faker on the bottom side of the map, teleport to come in here from the Renekton. And Humble Life Esports, they really want to fight for this. The Ziggs rotating over, of course. Viper does have a lot of range, so he can affect these team fights as Ona will break it now on cooldown for the next couple of seconds, and Doran gets into position. That's an ulti out. The Encore goes entirely wide, and that is the Smolder going down. They do get rid of the Olaf, but have they done enough? The flash over the wall from Viper. Peanut desperately chasing after Ona because they want to take down this smite. The Dragon all but forgotten right now, but Humble Life Esports still doing so much damage as the Seraph Shield does go off. And Carrier actually hopping back into the pit here. Does, of course, have the Shadow Dash and use that to get back over the wall.
Yeah, there's a lot of teleports available, Atlas. A lot of sums being used for Humble Life, though. But if they get this Dragon, that might be a worthwhile investment.
5
6 seconds on Zeus.
Yeah, he is going to be coming in very, very quickly, is the Smolder. You're talking about the Viking as well, Humble Life Esports. I think this Dragon does belong to them, but T1, can they find a fight? No Ragnarok here for Zeus, and there is a lot of CC. Beat gets dropped, but doesn't really do too much there. And the Achu does come down. So that's going to be T1 taking down an outer turret in the mid lane. They trade that for the Hextech Drake. And subsequent dragons are going to be more and more difficult for them to pick up because, of course, that's the third. The Baron's going to be on the map next. And if you give Humble Life Esports any time, I think they kill Baron very, very quickly. Same can be said for T1 as we have a look at this fight again.
So here we see what's crucial is that the Seraphino doesn't actually connect all the way. Like, it's the combo, right? Vi ults, Shen ults on top, And yes, they get Zeka, but I don't think Zeka at this point is worth diving that deep for. This is a later game fight, 100%, but Viper still puts the ult down on top immediately. And the Seraphine doesn't actually get that dream ultimate where everyone is charmed and you do have a lot of time. So it ends up being a relatively even trade. Dragon going over to Humble Life is a colossal win. My main question is, can they punish the lack of sums? Because that is the one big advantage that T1 got out of that.
Yeah, well, Doran is going to have to use his dominance here, but does get the 90 gold from the cannon. You like to see that. Does have to use his flash at the same time, though. T1 putting on as much pressure as they possibly can. Humble Life still with that slight gold advantage. And it just feels like they have a bit of extra pressure on this map right now.
I really like the setup as well that is done here by Hanwha, because Nasus with his ultimate and Vi, they actually take Nash really fast, right? Because he does percentage health damage, Vi obviously with a W. So keeping a good, especially against T1, keeping a good amount of control towards the top side of the map is pivotal. T1,
if they ever start Baron and Viper knows, don't they all just get exploded?
Depends on whether or not Seraphine is there.
Oh, that's
like empowered W.
I'm just thinking that everyone is very melee. As 221, pre-20 minutes, by the way, Zeka is going to hit his stacks for the execute so incredibly early. And we did warn that this was going to be a possibility, right? Into the Nasus, this Smolder will be able to freely stack up. Zeus getting to work on this bottom side. And the side laning, the split pushing, kind of working out here as Doran is going to rotate over. There we go. 225 plus has been achieved as Doran does come in and gets a decent little combo. Not going to be able to do too much.
Like in theory, maybe you pivot as T1 and you just oh man, that's not even that relevant, but it hurts.
Yeah.
Because a Peanut gets the steal off his own Raptors, I guess, so it's more of a secure. But you can, in theory, just put Zeus in the side lane, no one can match him, and then if someone does try, Keria just ults in.
Well, Keria is going to have to flash, does get an ulti for his trouble.
Gets two, actually, but it's... You know, I think having flash on Shen actually is a pretty big deal, because his effective range isn't that big.
The Shadow Lash?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Shadow Dlash?
Yeah, that's what I went with Dlash.
I speak Dutch, Atlas, so that you know it's an actual
everyone knows Dlash, because people that put Flash on D have to say it's D for Dlash.
Ah.
Because obviously it's supposed to be on F, because it's F for Flash.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on that. I don't really...
I mean, I personally have Flash on F, but I think that it's about the muscle memory that you developed. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. Some could say that theoretically, if you want to have easier access to Flash, it should be closer.
Ah, there we go.
Other buttons or something like that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, okay, Baron is going to get started up immediately. Vision does go down. Viper does have his ulti up and available. Let's see whether he can actually connect it here. As T1 in position, the Achu comes down. There is the ulti onto the Smolder, the Solar Flare, just to get rid of Owner. And look at that! The Viking runs in and immediately pops like a balloon. There's just too much damage here, and it's a double kill for the Smolder as a result. That Hex Gate from Keria is going to be able to get him over his side of the map. But now Zeka could be in trouble. Gumayusi needs to be respected. The Spirit Fire comes down as well. That's Narnia, Peanut. That's not where you want to throw the ultis, but you can see Viper able to keep them at bay. Still, Humble Life Esports health bars are getting down very, very low. And I don't think they're going to be starting off a Baron.
Yeah, remember what we were talking about earlier, where like, oh, Olaf eventually... Yeah, that's now. We've reached the point where he needs to get on top of them, and he just doesn't have the resistances. And this is, again, I think, a bit of an overstretch, because this isn't a dive composition. Like, Owner goes in, but no one actually gets to follow up. You're running through a narrow choke point into Smolder and Ziggs.
And one of them can be ulted by the Vi.
Yeah.
One of them did, but the other one it didn't. And that's the big part of the problem. As the Dragon now up and available, Humble Life Esports trying to get themselves on even footing when it comes to this Drake count. As I guess technically they have to, because Smolder's on their team, but still, they want to recruit another.
Operation Owner V2?
Yeah, here we go. Looking for the angle. As the Hextech Dragon has been pulled out, the rest of T1 moving over. Delight is going to spot Owner here. as they take the Hexgate in. Zeus is going to turn up as now Peanut down to half health. Faker also having to flash to get himself out of the way, and Delight down to 50%. Solar Flare is going to connect. Gumishi doesn't find the ulti as Mega Inferno Bomb does a lot of damage to him, and now Hanwha, they get control of the Dragon. Owner is looking to move in, but he's not able to lock that one down, and look at the damage from Zeka. He's found his window and will be able to take down the Shen. And now HLE Esports is just clean up. Faker is going to get permafrosted, and it looks like he will get chased down. There's just too much CC, too much opportunity, and once again, Zeka is just getting so fed in this game.
And HLE just looks so much cleaner, Atlas. It's very straightforward. Everyone knows what their job is. Everyone's in position. And the Baron, just winning the fight alone would have been huge. Just getting the second Hextech Drake. But the Baron as well. Owner still 10 seconds before he's alive. And I don't know if Zeus and Guma, especially without the ult for Guma, can do anything about this. Carrier's on his way, almost as his ult, but...
Oh, doesn't find a Zenith Blade as now. Let's see whether the Olaf can actually get this one done. As Zeka just says flap, and he'll get himself out of the way. Look at Viper, he's just standing on a satchel to make sure he can't get CC no matter what happens, but the Smolder does fall down. And the flash from Gumiushi comes in. He's going to be able to get that high note, lands it onto Doran.
Wait.
And HLE are not able to get the Baron. They lose two.
They might be able to mash.
The beat is going to get dropped. Okay, so now T1, they're back in the driver's seat, and I have no idea how they did it.
Faker, press that R button, please. Please, we gotta chunk through this. They're still at the ready.
Yeah, Peanut is just going to look for a red buff and then hopefully come in for a steal. Owner is going to be there, so it's going to be a 50-50. Viper is also there as well. This is real dicey. Throws in the satchel. Delight's going to get in there.
What?
There is Carrier over the wall with the taunt, but it's a little bit too early. They're going to look to try and take him down. The blast cone does come in. Peanut, can you actually get in there? It's the cease and desist. Peanut still surviving for such a long time. Mega Inferno Bomb not quite doing it. And now it's the Ziggs versus Goomer and Faker. Let's see whether Viper can actually try and take this down. It's down to 1,000. Oh God, the bombs. The satchel's not enough. And Faker with all the stacks is able to cue the Baron to death. What a weird game.
And just as it looks like HLE is about to close out their second game, we take a turn for the weird, Atlas.
I love it. Yakety sax, baby.
So this was a mess, right? HLE very calm, very cool, very calculated. Guma's ult doesn't find the mark. Zeus is in Narnia. They just don't have the damage to actually get through these people, while Faker is like hex-gating over and trying to... It doesn't work. And then they overextended the Guma, and it's easy to disregard the Seraphine, but Zeus, he draws a lot of cooldowns, draws a lot of attention, dies seemingly unceremoniously, and then watch this empowered Q there from Guma. Like, Second smokes into it, Atlas!
Yeah!
It smokes into it!
And the Baron did so much work there as well. I think, like, Zeus really choosing his correct angle. It's down to 200. Faker just cues it. And Ben looking to get away.
I do really wish they just used the Nessus ult, because I feel like that could have been a lot less stressful.
Yeah.
Is it enough? I don't know. There's still an 8-2 Smolder. There's still a monstrously fed Ziggs. But at least the game is fun, Atlas. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a game now because of that, right? You can see the Rebel Baron power play moving up to 2,000. It hasn't actually got T1 a gold lead yet. If they can utilize it well, they might be able to at least get on even footing, as it's currently 4 turrets to 3 in favor of HLE. So the Olaf now pushing out this lane in the top side. Doran is going to face check Carrier, and this is probably a dead Renekton, and by probably I mean definitely. Everybody else just getting themselves the heck out of here.
Actually really cute from Carrier, so he walked into Doran and then taunted back so that Doran would walk into him. Which, they have Baron buff, like they can basically equalize the gold. Again, is that enough? I don't know. But they should be able to turn the look at the timers on the Red Bull Baron power play and the Hextech Drake. They should be able to get Soul Point. And if you get Soul Point with Seraphine and Nessus, maybe you can turn it around.
There's a possibility. And now it's time for us to talk about the scaling options of T1, I guess, because we have been doing that a fair bit for the Smolder composition, with the fact that Zeka is now level 16, has a bunch of stacks. Faker is also starting to get these stacks together, and you can see he was able to sort of rely on just having enough of them to act as a smite on the Baron in that last fight. So
yeah,
T1 have now moved into a gold lead with that turret take on the top side.
Wasn't stressful at all.
No, it wasn't even a little bit. I think it was calm, calculated gameplay, Chronicler.
This is really big, because actually a Hanwha that is able to get cryo here on mid-wave, so someone on T1 is going to have to catch that. And it's actually Hanwha Live that's going to have first move that is able to wake their way into the enemy jungle, as well as the river. As it's the awesome Doom meta. It's just back, Atlas.
Yep, that's what we find ourselves in, as the Blast Cone is going to be taken away. And Carrier looking to escape via the Hextech gate. Peanut just making sure that there's no flank angles here as HLE Esports. They do teleport Doran into the mid lane just to get the Renekton back into position.
Oh, Zeus.
This is a lot of jockeying we can see right now, as the Achu going to be avoided there by Faker. Throws down the Spirit Fire. It's not doing quite as much as it was earlier in the game. As now Carrier, possibly out of position, is going to be able to get himself out of the way. And now Ona, he's started up this Drake. Hanwha, they're just looking to try and get this fight working out, as Carrier has to flash to get out of the way of Zeka. And now Peanut just biding his time. Zeus looking for the angle. It's going to be that 50-50 like you were talking about, but it's Peanut that locks down the Dragon. Ona unable to flash the mom damage, but does at least get himself out of the way in the Fury of the Sands here from Faker as he walks away from the fight. T1 do not want to push any further forward than they have to, especially with nothing left on the table.
You see the smaller value there as well, Atlas. The fact that you can just queue for Dragon.
He's 8-2-2.
Yeah. You just queue Dragon, and then Owner just kind of dies. It's again, T1, they're technically still in this game, but like these smaller stacks are going to keep getting worse. I actually think that T1 needs to start investing into like things like Warmugs, right? Like something that can just allow you to actually be in these positions for longer, because you're gonna take so much poke. A Locket also wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yep.
On someone, because again, the amount of
hug Gumayushi forever and hope that he, shields you at the right time.
But that's the problem. You also can't group up too much, because Viper is not the main character on HLE's draft.
He is level 16 now.
He is level 16 and he is Zig, so
he has 5 items.
It's still a problem.
Yeah. The gold is incredibly even. The game state is not. That's how I guess I would explain it. Zeka now has 4 items.
Yes.
One of them is now a Bloodthirster.
Hey, Faker is free. There we go.
Yep. And, he's still Nasus. He's still scaling to infinity. The unfortunate thing is that Zeka is a newer champion also scaling to infinity.
Yeah, and this is often talked about with Nasus. But to me, like, we're kind of getting to the end of where he feels like he's at his strongest. Even though he does stack infinitely, eventually in League of Legends,
you need to be able to hit them with your cane.
Yeah, you just reach a point where, and that's even without Smolder, right? Which obviously is the worst nightmare in that regard. But even a champion like Ziggs, eventually you just reach enough percentage pen that you just kill Nasus before he gets to Q you twice as Owner.
All right, Peanut just bypasses him. The Solar Flare going to connect, and they get the priority target. Oh man, I thought they were going to focus Owner, but instead they get the Seraphine, the flash forward from Peanut to make sure Owner cannot escape. They'll take his GA, and then they'll take his life. The satchel put in place, and Zeka's able to lock it down. I think Peanut may have just got him a POG with that one. That was gorgeously played. Doran now looking to take down his brother, actually, in this moment. As Faker on the Nasus is just looking to hold the wave, but HLE Esports, they just want to kill a Baron.
Peanut with the bamboozle. Owner walks in, he's like, I'm not here for you. I have a much more important target. Gets on top of Guma, catches him off guard. That is going to be the Baron going over to Hanwha. And a 2-0 lead for the second seed seems inevitable here. As we take it,
it's beautifully
just so
set up.
Clean. It's so well done. Just bypasses him, hides the old animation in the queue, and Guma doesn't flash, just ends up dying immediately. And then Peanut flashes in front of Owner's queue, meaning that Owner doesn't get out. Ends up going down.
Let's hear it from Peanut's perspective. Yeah, he just turned on a dime. Just said, oh no, we can just kill Seraphine. Oh man. Peanut really having an incredible day today. And HLE Esports, all the better for it. Now setting up for a Hextech Soul in 1 minute and 20. And this is a red side win, guys. We have to remember that this is an incredibly important game for Harmolife Esports in this series, because they didn't technically need to win on red side, but this could make the series a whole lot quicker for them and give them so many opportunities to close it out. As Peanut going to try and escape here, as Zeus moving on in. We'll be able to put on a fair bit of pressure, and Carrier gets over as well. Peanut isn't exactly a priority target, and now Doran's going in, looking for the angles here. The permafrost comes down, and Ona, no GA anymore, and is just going to be cut down where he stands. His timer is exactly the same as that of the Dragon, so he's not going to be there for the Hextech Soul. And meanwhile, Zeker's just kind of winning the game, I guess. Taking down this inhibitor turret and inhibitor in the bottom lane. Some teleports being used, but I think Harmolife Esports just have winning the game on their minds right now. Teleport to come in from Doran as well, and now Delight, I think he's found Zeus, who is just going to get chain CC'd. I mean, he's an Olaf. That's Olaf. So he doesn't really get chain CC'd, but he has to use it, and now he's able to take down the Leona. That's not your base gate, so getting out here is going to be difficult. However, both of them can make it over walls, and so Doran and Delight are just dead. That's a lot of Ds.
Hey, that might be enough for T1 to contest.
Well, Carrier's just going to flash to get the taunt onto Zeka, but he just dies. Zeus is now in trouble. One sneeze from Zeka and he will be dead, although the sneezes do about 50% of anyone's health bar. So that would make some sense. As Owner has come in with the base gate, there is a phenomenal arm guard utilized here from Zeka. Immediately flashes after him and burns him to death. Straight out of the death chamber, straight back in again. And Owner is unfortunately not going to be able to deny this Hextech Soul. So somehow, after losing Delight and Doran for basically free, they still overextend, and it is going to be a Quadra Hextech Soul.
Yeah, we knew it was over, but now it's really over, Atlas.
Extra levels of over, Chronicler.
No, yeah, like 4.
Yeah, this is the most Smolder I've ever seen a Smolder be.
It's not even just Smolder, it's like Ziggs alone with Hextech Soul is enough to win the game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I really thought that T1 was going to get like, oh, we're going to get at least one more. No, they try to kill Zeka, they don't. And that's kind of the end of it.
Zeus is going to have to press his Ragnarok button, and does so very, very quickly.
Okay.
Is that a Captain Rag?
Okay,
that's a bridge too far. That's a bridge too.
It's not even skillful. You just press. You can press R whenever, Atlas. Yeah, you don't need good timing.
But he did have, like, what if the timing just shows that you barely even skip a step?
Yeah, I guess.
That's kind of cool. As Carrier going to get slowed down here, as they do manage to eliminate the minion wave quite effectively. Looks like Peanut pretty happy to tank up the turret though. Mega Inferno Bomb just to soften Gumayushi in that backline, but not really doing too much. Still, it's going to be up again. Exceptionally fast. I mean, it's Hextech Soul, Quadra Stack. The amount of ability haste is just revolting, and it's a 4-0-14, 322 CS6.
They have stopwatch on Zeka. Like, there's just no way. You need to try and catch him off guard somehow. As this is it.
Yeah, Faker is going to walk over a ward though. Doran is chasing after him, and Harmolife Esports, they know exactly what's going on. Base gates. Sorry, Hextech gate. To get Faker out of there, and everyone really wants to try and kill him as Doran's going to get into the brush. That is going to stop the teleport, and Faker, he does have Asterix. It's mano y mano. Doran is looking to try and take him down, is going to be able to blast cone his way out, and Faker is taking them on a merry jaunt through their own base. Doran is the one tasked with stopping him.
We're TPing? Okay, now that's just straight disrespect.
This is very weird. They really want to kill Faker as Viper is going to satchel him, and Faker is dead. So it did take a long time, but they will be able to take him down. And now, what are we doing, Harmolife Esports? We're going to try and get some minion waves in order and push.
Did I see that right? Did Faker have a bounty? How did that happen?
Surely not. What? Really?
No, I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Well, they don't have Nasus, 40 seconds. Harmolife didn't really invest anything. Well, they invested TP, but no one really cares about that.
Yep. They do still have this inhibitor down in the bottom lane. Peanut just going to usher in those super creeps as this turret not long for the world. Viper does so much damage. Even like per auto, it's like half an inhibitor worth of damage. And they can also slow them perpetually. They have Hextech Soul. And so T1 lose an inhibitor in the mid lane as well. A bit of circling the drain, but a little bit of playing with their food on the side of Harmolife Esports. Chronicler, I have to say.
I'm just saying the one way you lose this as Hanwha is if you flip Elder for no reason. So as long as they don't do that, I don't really care.
2.5 minutes.
They're not. That's not happening. They're taking
447
Nash.
stacks.
No, Atlas. They're walking over the Nash now. Then they take Nash, and then they end the game.
Oh.
We are not. No, don't get baited in.
Oh.
This game's done.
But what?
Atlas, no.
But you know what if?
What if what?
We have to ask these questions.
Okay, what if what, Atlas?
Faker flash Qs the Baron, takes the buff,
and then dies to Smolder.
Yeah, but then they have Baron to defend their base, and they utilize that to get a positional advantage around the Elder as Solar Flare is going to connect onto Faker. He takes the kitchen sink. The mum damage kind of massive there as well as Fury of the Sands keeps him alive. But Ona doesn't have one of those, unfortunately. Down to the GA. Once again, Zeka just says, no, you're not ulting me. That is just not something you're allowed to do. And now the Viking trying to get on top of him, but Zeka's just not even taking damage. He gets a triple kill in the fight, and Faker and Guma, they realize that I think it's just not quite going to work out. Delight trying to look for him. He flashes over the base gate. There isn't anybody else there, but he is also so tanky, I don't even think it matters. Maybe someone else doesn't even really need to be there because Mega Inferno Bomb has infinite range. He once again goes in looking for Faker. He won't be able to tank up that last turret shot, but he's still able to get the work done. And now Gumayushi is not able to defend the base, and the game is over. Humble Life Esports will move to match point in the series.
16-2, Atlas.
That was a weird game, Chronicler.
Atlas, that's not jeans. That right there, that's the jacket from Drive. You know, the one that Ryan Gosling has with the giant scorpion that everyone looks at. It's like, man, I wish it could be that cool. That's Zeka this game.
He really did upgrade.
He did. And what a flashy performance in many ways. Not the cleanest game from Hanwha, but I feel like that actually makes it worse. The fact that they're like, oh, we're going to play fast and loose. Of course Peanut is going to like space glide by owner and get Guma. Of course we're going to get 2 inhibs and then just give up a bunch of people and still outplay you.
And also they played the Renekton Sejuani and they won a game. And, you know, if you watch the KT series, that one, if you're a KT fan, is going to hurt your feelings, but otherwise it's going to feel a bit like justice here as Zeka and Viper did a lot of damage. Somehow, Zeka wasn't quite able to do as much as Viper, but I think he just did a lot of inherent damage this game, and I think the Ziggs needs to be looked at. That is the biggest.
Say, call me crazy, but maybe Ziggs is a little bit too good with 100% win rate in these playoffs, Atlas.
Bit of that BZP. We're going to need a bit of that BZP. It's time to go into a short break. When we get back, the space is going to break down that game number 2. We'll see you for match point for Humble Life Esports.
나스 노플이야. 바이. 세라핀 위치 신경 써. 야, 바이. 세라핀 공만 생각해. 야, 올라프 뒤에. 자. 야, 올라프로 가죠. 어때 이거? 미드라인. 야, 나 죽냐? 야. 미드 가서 끝내자. 내가 세라핀한테 2풀 꽂을게. 세라핀 풀 썼던 거 같아. 야, 세라핀 맞을 사람. 너 해. 네, 한장 그냥 할 거 다 해. 야, 나 공 3초. 천천히 해봐. 세라핀 노플일 거야, 아마. 1초. 잡던지 그냥. 야, 공 봐올게. 잘 가고. 나스도 노플이야. 야, 노플. 잡자. 무조건 끝났어. 끝났어. 내가 끝내줄게. 세라핀 잡으러 갈게. 끝내줘. 10초. 나이스. 펜타킬. 하고 싶었는데. 잘했다.